Come on, put your hands up. Come on, we just want to let you know today that God has the whole world in his hands. Come on, come on, come on. Come on, clap your hands. You know that God has everything in need. Come on, praise God. Let everything that have breath praise the Lord. Come on, choir. God got it. God got it. Come on, everybody. Come on. No matter what you're going through, God got it.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whichever time it is when you're watching this show. Thank you all for tuning in on today. This is the Choir Directors Academy show, and I am your host, Angellaelaine. And it is great to see you all out there. Thank you all for tuning in with me. Those of you who are on Facebook, do me a favor. Hit the like and the share button. And those of you who are on YouTube, please hit the subscribe button so that we can all keep in contact and share a lot of different ideas. Want to give a couple of shout outs. Hey, Shanita, Vansha, and Kamitris, thank you for joining, and anybody else that is out there. Listen, this is really a challenge for me on this week, being in a house that only has half the power. So actually what you're seeing is one of the walls in my closet, right? We went through that terrible storm, and so many people have lost power. I'm thankful to at least have half of my house working, but it is a little warm outside and everything. But you know what? We're going to talk a little bit about something that is very important right now, and we're talking about implementing new changes in your music departments. Now, listen. Before the pandemic, we all kind of had ideas of things that we wanted to do. I mean, I have all things. I wanted to use the tracks because I am a musician as well. I don't consider myself the best musician because that's not really my strong side. I like to teach and direct. But again, I just feel that is a necessary skill, to be a choir director. So I had so many different things that I wanted to get involved with and use. But, as everybody else, I'm busy. I don't have the time to do it, or I couldn't find the time. I'm in this, that, and the other, and things just didn't work out. But now that we were in the pandemic, I've been able to restructure and get rid of those things that were necessary and those things that were not, and was able to implement a lot of different things. And I want to encourage you, whatever you can implement, please do that. Okay. Everybody's church is not the same. I say that all the time, but I want to reiterate that everybody's church is not the same. Everybody's pastor is not the same. So what goes for one church may not necessarily go for another. Okay. I want you to keep that in mind. One of the things that I think you should do first, before you even get started, before you start trying to implement things, you can never do anything correctly when you're tired, when you're worn out, when you're not rested. So the first thing I would tell you to do is to rest, renew, rejuvenate, and revive yourself through the help of God, of course. But you need to take time and rest. Hopefully you got a chance to do that during the pandemic. Some of us, hey, Lady P, some of us are still working, so we didn't get that break. But it's good for you to get a break. Take your time and rest. You need to connect with the Lord, because everything to be implemented is not necessarily for you or for your church, okay? Second of all, once you get that done, then communicate with your pastor. All of us should be on a good speaking term level. You're working with the pastor, so you really should be in good speaking terms with him and be able to sit down and see if what you want to implement fits into the vision of the church, okay? Because you are not the pastor. You may be one of the leaders, but you're not the pastor. So you want to make sure that what you have planned is applicable. Like in my case, I wanted to do the tracks and have the Whoop Triggers Plus, the apps and the tracks and all of this different stuff going on. And I couldn't get it done. And it was kind of like, my pastor is kind of old school. He likes that organ and the drums. He likes the actual person doing everything. And I was kind of getting tired. I'm worn out. But during this pandemic, by us being on conference call, have changed everything around because, and it was funny when I mentioned to my pastor about being on the conference call, and my mom is here. When I first mentioned it to him, he was kind of like, well, I can't see the people. How am I going to preach? I'm like, Daddy, just preach. Okay. Just imagine just you standing in front of the people and just preach. Well, now he's on the conference call. He's preaching, he's singing, he's shouting, he's doing the whole 9 yards. So, it's just that you have to get in the right environment. And then while we're on the calls, I started introducing the tracks, the triggers. I mean, just all kinds of music coming through, which the congregation was receptive of over the conference call. Everybody was just like, I'm loving the music, the tracks. It's just like, because when you're coming out of something like this, you don't want to go back with the same thing. If what you were doing before the pandemic in some areas was not working and people were kind of like, la, 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 then you don't want to bring that back. Because then you bring it's like you ushering in the same thing, spirit that you had before. So when I did that, when he said that we were going to return to church towards the end of July, I was kind of like, they kind of looked at me because I didn't want to go back to the same old thing. I wanted to do something different. But my pastor was open to it. He was just like, yeah, bring that music in. Which me being a missionary, it was actually better because, and actually, y'all, I am really sweating. It's hot. I'm going to do like Lady P. I'm going to get my towel because y'all can't be sweating. But anyway, so actually I brought the music back. And because we have woofers in the church and all of those kind of things, because I have this big keyboard. What is it? The Yamaha Motif. I play that sometime when I don't feel like using all my limbs. And I have all these speakers and everything. But when I hooked it up, the sound just went all over the church and everybody's just receptive. Like, oh my God, this is good. Oh my God, this is so good. So, I got a chance to implement what I wanted to do all the time. So I'm not looking at the pandemic as necessarily a bad thing, but that, it's another level of church that we have to go through. In introducing or reintroducing the music department to the church. Also, you have to look at the people, determine whether they really want to be in the choir. Yes, Lady P, it's amazing. Oh my goodness. I'm telling you, it's working out for me real good because I get a chance to actually act like a missionary, get on the floor and actually shout and sing a song instead of working so hard. But you have to have a conversation with your pastor, but also have a conversation with your choir because you don't want to bring the same thing back. Before the pandemic, you may have had choir members that didn't really want to be in the choir, but they just didn't have the heart to tell you. Now that we've been out of church so long and they kind of got adjusted to not singing, maybe it's a good idea for you to let them move on to another department. I would rather reduce the choir from 25 to 15 and have 15 people that really want to be in the choir, really want to minister, than to have all this volume. And then, most of them can really take it or leave it. You know what I'm saying? So you have to kind of look first at yourself internally, then communicate with your pastor, then look inside your department and see if it's feasible to keep all of this. You don't want to bring the same spirit back. You don't want the same old thing to resurrect itself. This is a new time. I remember my father has a quote. It said, methods are many, principles are few. Methods change, but principles never do. Now, I'm not saying that we need to go totally virtual. A lot of people are advocating that the whole church, we should just disband with the brick and mortar. I'm not for that. I'm sorry. I'm old school. I need brick and mortar. I want a place where I can go and there are like believers like me who want to come into church, sing. No, we don't have to be in church for 9 hours, but I still believe that we should come together and praise God together. I like it, and in my church, I'm also I head up the business continuity team. And there are so many different things that we had to implement and do in order for the church to be safe. Sanitizing the pulpit in between speakers, having people like Remnant of Faith is really good. I saw pictures where they have actually arrows telling you which way to walk. They have the benches roped off or something where you can't, where you can sit and where you can't, to keep everybody separated. Same thing in my church. We just did it a little differently. Be involved in that. And you'd be surprised how the ideas that you have will start coming to play when you get involved. Get involved in the ministry. Help your pastor, help your first lady, help your leaders get this church to where it should be, because our seasoned saints, they are missing it. And you'd be surprised, even the young people are missing it. They're missing church. I mean, everybody is not anti-church. And if you listen to the world, they'll make us think that, nobody wants to be in church. That is not true. What we want to do is be more efficient with what we're doing. We want to have our teams built to the point where we're dealing with people who really want to be in the youth department, really want to be in the music department, really want to be in evangelism. You want everybody to work where they're comfortable and where their skills can really be used to benefit the growth of the church, because churches are going to grow. There are people out there, when they left, there was a brick and mortar. When they come back, they want brick and mortar. So we're not obsolete. We just need to come about with a better way to do things. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, I found a way to introduce my new ideas through conference calls and things like that. So find your way. All of us are not the same. All of us don't do things the same, but our principles are Bible-based, and we should all follow the same principles. Like I said, they all should be Bible-based. So we're all doing the same thing. It's just a different method of doing it. Everybody is not going to receive the same person. It's like Lady P. She attracts one audience. I myself attract another audience, but that doesn't lessen our value in either setting. It's just that, maybe the way she talks and does in her video, they receive her the way I do. I'm a little nerdy. So, I may attract more of the nerds, but don't be intimidated and using different formats, whether it's Zoom or Facebook or YouTube or they got so many apps out here now. It's so many different ways for us to reach the masses. Okay. And God has people that can reach other people, and don't be afraid to do it. Don't be afraid. I remember when I started this 2 years ago, I was so nervous and my, heart in my neck, because I was like, oh my God, I can't do this. But once you get started, when God gives you something, it just comes and it works. And it just flows, and you'll be surprised who you're blessing by what you do. And another thing I want to introduce to you is just be consistent with what you're doing. Don't use the app and the tracks 1 week, and then the next week you do something. Kind of be consistent. One thing I've noticed is when you're dealing with people and you're bringing in a change, you have to do it gradually and consistently. Kind of like what the world is doing, gradually and consistently, numbing us to what's going on and make it help, the church to change, which we need to be advocates of not changing. If it's not in the word of God, I'm not with it. Okay. We need to be that way, but that's a whole nother show. And I'm gonna leave that to Lady P and let her teach on that. But anyway, we need to be consistent in what we do. People like to see consistency. And I'm going to wipe my face because it's hot. These lights, oh my God, these lights are hot. But anyway, people want to see consistency in people who are in ministry. Okay. They want to see you do what you do in a way that they can recognize you whenever you do it. Let's not get caught. Another thing, let's not get caught up so much in our video production. I know I have my little schmeal, but that's just a little taste, okay? Because I'm actually doing something that's related to teaching. But in our churches, when we're doing the YouTubes and the lives and all of that type of stuff, let's not transcend over to entertainment. Because church is not entertainment. Church is for the development of your spiritual life and to help you make it back to glory. Just an encouragement there, and I don't understand why people don't want us to fellowship together, because there's strength in numbers. A lot of times if you by yourself all the time, the devil can overwhelm you with depression, with all of these sad features. But when you gather with people of like mind who are somebody else, on their day, my day of encouragement, where I'm encouraged, may be your down day. But if I testify and say something to uplift you, then it will be reciprocated later on. You'll be up one day and I may need encouragement. Okay. So use whatever God gives you, use it to help people. Use it to build people up. Build up your department. Encourage your department. Do things that will encourage them to stay with God. I mean, we're living in a time now that everybody wants to run off and, kind of like don't want to work together. We don't have that together spirit anymore. Everyone is not meant to be a leader at a particular time. Now, you may be a leader down the road, but you may not be called to be a leader right now. Right now, you may be called to be a follower or a disciple or someone like that, or an adjutant. It's not a bad thing. I've been an adjutant to my mom since the church started. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm doing things on the side and she's turning around supporting me. So it depends on you and your perception. One thing I do say, you cannot be an effective leader if you did not follow. If you didn't follow, you cannot be a good leader. Hey, Mother Geraldine Smith, you cannot be a good leader if you're not a good follower. If you were one of those people that followed and you complain and you had the knife and all of that kind of stuff, then when it comes time, all of that plays a part in you implementing what you're doing. Okay, I got to wipe now, y'all. I'm sweating. It all plays a part in what you're doing. Because then while you're trying to set up, somebody else is going to come behind and do the same thing. So remember what I'm telling you. You need to be first rested, rejuvenated, revived within yourself. Okay. Don't come back with the same spirit and the same cantankerism and the same mannerisms. Okay. I'm recapping right now. Don't you bring that back. Okay. That's why you need to be refreshed so that God can pour into you and you can give something different. I didn't want my leaders to come back and they're the same old, like they're all dried and ready to throw in the towel. The pandemic served a purpose. It was for us to really self-evaluate. Honestly, that's what I did. And I seen a lot of things that I got involved in that I really didn't need to be doing. I'm sorry, bad English, but it's after 5 o'clock. I only speak perfect English between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. That's my professional language. Right now, I can say whatever. But I'm just saying, it was for me to evaluate myself. What can I do better? How can I reach people better? What's going on inside of me? And God allowed me to see myself, see what I can revamp and revise, because there's always improvement inside. We can always improve. No matter how good we are, we can always improve. And I mean, a lot of people say I'm one of the best directresses, and that may well be, but I saw myself as where I can improve in my area of patience, in my area of consistency. I saw that within myself. I'm like, oh, dear God, not like, it's going to send me to the lake, but I just said, Lord, I need to work on that. Okay. Because I will admit, before that pre-pandemic, I was running out of patience. It's just like, I was so at the point where I didn't even want to touch the organ. I'm just like, look, my mother is almost 80 years old. I had her playing the organ because I didn't want to play. But then I asked God for help. And then I saw a lady, Plater use the whoop triggers. And then my cousin started mailing me tracks. And then that kind of helped. Don't be afraid to be creative. I guess that's what I'm saying. When you get renewed, revived, and refreshed, you become creative. You really do. God is creative, and he put a creative spirit in all of us. And if we seek him, he'll give it to us what to do for our churches, what to do for our music departments, what to do for our singers, for our musicians, for ourselves, so that the department will be a blessing to the church. Music has a great impact on the service. Whoever is over your music department has a major impact on how the spirit flows through there. Okay. And so we want to make sure that we have the right spirit, the right heart, the right attitude, and implement those things that God give us. Everything cannot be implemented at the same time. I know I use the same word twice in the same sentence, but follow me. You can't rush what you're doing. Okay. You have to take your time and implement. You have to take your time. And just because you take your time doesn't mean something is wrong with you. That just means that you need to take it step by step by step. Because if you do, you won't have to worry about falling off or falling back. Okay. When you take your time and you move forward at a steady pace. Okay. So basically that's all I had. And I want you all to be consistent. Use whatever technology you can. Don't be afraid to use it. If it's okay with your pastor, hey, use it. Go for it. Okay. And they'll be surprised. You'll be surprised how receptive people are. Sometimes we think, oh, well, they won't want to do this or they won't want to do that. I'm doing just like Lady P. You rubbing off on me, Lady P. They will do, they won't receive it. You'd be surprised how quickly people will adapt and how they will enjoy something fresh, something new, something exhilarating, just something. Okay. So don't be afraid. If God gave it to you, believe me, your pastor will roll with it. Okay. Because my pastor did the same. And he is super old school. I mean, he's super old school. But even him, he's just like, whoa, this music. Wow. You just, that music. And my mom, who happens to be the first lady, she's always telling me that music. So do what you can to bring it in. Those of you who have bigger choirs, you have a bigger budget, then you can do the virtual choir thing. Okay. Those of you who have smaller budgets, do what you can. It's not so much how much you have, is what you do with what you got. Okay. I mean, I went to How Sweet the Sound with I had more than 9 choir members when I started out, but I ended up going on stage with 9 people and actually winning in the region. So it's not how much you got, is what you do with what you have. Revamp it. You may lose some people. Don't be afraid if you lose a couple of people. Okay. Because that means God going to replace them with somebody who's better suited. Those people who walked away may be better suited in the youth department. Okay. You don't want anybody working anywhere. We all know what that's like. We all know what that's like to be working with people who really don't want to work where you working. They can really aggravate you. But what you do is you allow them the choice. Give them the choice. If they want to go, let them go. And then God will replenish. And, because what we want to do is go higher. We want to steady go up. I don't like being stagnant. Wherever I am this year, I want to be 2 steps above that next year. I don't like staying in the same place. I like moving on. That's what I enjoy doing. And I'm sure that you all enjoy doing that too, but it's a process and we need to step up to that challenge and do that. Don't be left behind. I remember there was a quote. I think my father said, don't be the last one to try it, but then don't be the first one out the gate either. Kind of, wait and let God will tell you when it's your time to run out the gate. He'll tell you when it's your time. And, so I hope I said something to help you. I'm sweating, y'all. I got to end this live. These lights are super bright. And I have to end this live because I was in, half of my house is without power. And I pray that everybody's doing well out there. Some of us have no power, but I happen to have a house that's got half power. Okay. That's a message by itself. No power, half power, full power. That's a message by itself. Somebody can take that and run off with that. But I may have to write that down and share that one day myself. But right now I'm on half power. So what you see is a glimpse of one of my walls in my closet. I'm sitting because it happens to have power. When the power's out, you got to go wherever the source is. This happens to be the source. So you get a glimpse into my closet. But anyway, I enjoy sharing with you all tonight. Next time I come on, I have another special guest and we're going to review the 90s music. He was actually there for most of the recordings. He's a producer. He's a musician, and he's one of the most fabulous people. He's a great person. I love him dearly. We just happen to share a bloodline, but he's a great guy, and he's going to be with us in 2 weeks. And he's going to walk us through the 90s Mississippi Mass style. It's going to be great. So I hope you all enjoy what I said. Have a good evening. Stay dry. Stay cool. And if your power is not on, I pray it comes on real soon. Some of us are sitting in the dark, but I pray it comes on real soon. Thank you all for joining me on tonight. Yeah, I told you this was going to. Oh, thank you, Lady Thank you, Lady P. Pretty Cloud. Thank you. Thank you, Mother Geraldine. Yeah, I tried to be fashion. I like fashion. Lady P, that's my friend. We both like these strange purses and stuff. I ain't gonna show you the other side, but you just see the nice side of the wall. I got them all lined up all around there, cubes and everything. But God has been good, right? But we thank you for joining on us. Everybody have a wonderful evening. Thank you for keeping me company. May God bless you richly, and may the best in life always be yours. Peace. Have a good night.